Get ready for Sonia, Teresa, Vanessa, Bettina. Come on. Say what? Come on. Say what? We got hot topics. We got what the fudge. So bring it home. Say what? Bring it home. Say what? You got questions. We got the answers. You wanna chit? You wanna chat? You wanna talk about this and talk about that? You're in the right place to hear the facts. Bring it home. Say what? Bring it on. Say what? The ladies are bringing the conversation. So join us or say what across the nation. Bring it on, y'all. Say what? Come on. Say what? Bring it on. Say what? Come on. Say what? Bring it on. Say what? Come on. Say what? Bring it on, y'all. Say what? Come on. Say what? Bring it on. Say what?
Amen, amen. Say what? Hello, ladies. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm gonna need y'all to have some more energy. I come in with all this energy, and y'all talking about, oh, I'm just good. How are you, ladies?
We're doing just wonderful. We can see you doing just great.
Oh,
Absolutely,
yes.
wonderful. We in the springtime. I'm excited, and to our listeners, we are happy to see you today. Thank you so much for joining us at the Say What podcast. And y'all know how we do this. We cannot go another further without the word of God. The bishop has worked out this morning with Jesus, and she ready with it. So, Bishop, what thus saith the Lord?
I tell you guys, he's really been talking these days. Psalm 71, I will be reading the Passion Translation. And it reads, from my childhood, you've been my teacher, and I'm still telling everyone of your miracle wonders. God, now that I am old and gray, don't walk away. Give me grace to demonstrate to the next generation all your mighty miracles and your excitement to show them your magnificent power. And that is Psalm 71 verses 17 and 18. And I like this psalm because here they don't say if it's David or not, so I won't say David, but the person is just so excited about sharing what God has taught them over the years. And even into the time that they get old and gray, they are petitioning God and asking God to give them time to share all of his wonderful works. So that's just like, for instance, everything that God has done to me. When I read this, I thought about we're supposed to pay it forward. And that's what this person is excited about. You know, he want to make sure that he or she has the time to share with others about God's wonderful works, the wonderful things that he's done in your life. That's why it's so important for us to share our testimonies and share the good news of Jesus Christ. But more importantly, let people know that no matter what you go through, that you can overcome and get through it. And it really just stuck out with me when he says that don't walk away, give me grace to demonstrate to the next generation. And that just lets me know that we all have a charge and a responsibility to teach the youngins, as they would say. I thought about Oprah because she used to say that all the time, to teach the youngins coming behind us, to give them instruction. And with this being Women's Month, specifically with women teaching young girls how to be young ladies. And yes, we live in some different times now, but respect is still respect. You know, confidence is still confidence. You know, self-respect is still self-respect. And just having the character of God, teaching them to have the character of God and demonstrate the love of God. So I just want to encourage you guys that no matter where you are, you know, or who you are, take time and speaking to one of the youngins, whether male or female, to let them know and encourage them that, you know, God is good and there is hope. Just keep pressing on.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm glad you brought that up about teaching the younger generation. Sometimes you hear older people, and it's funny because, you know, when you get older, you're like, oh my gosh, that's me. I gotta teach the younger generation. But you hear so many people say, what's wrong with these children? And you have to help them. You have to teach them.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just leave it to them to figure it out. They won't. No. They're not from the same generation. Nowadays, they just kind of do whatever without any type of restraint, where we came up, it was totally different. So teach them, show them how to do it. Don't leave it up to them. What are your thoughts, Vanessa?
Amen. Absolutely. I mean, the scripture said they have been, just marveling at his word when they were younger, and now they're older and they're still doing the same. And when you said that, I thought about me. Yes. When I was younger, I was in awe of his word. And as an adult, an older adult, I'm even more so in awe, because now it really has meaning. When you're little, you go to church because your parents make you go to church, whether you want to or not, you go to church, but it still gets in you. You may just sit there, but some of it gets in you. Some of it does to some people. But as an adult, it's so clear. His word is so clear. And you talking about marveling at his word. Oh my goodness. I'm like the scripture says, give me more time so I can kind of help people and tell those that may be lost, the younger generation. A lot of them weren't brought up like we were brought up. We were brought up old school. And my parents, you went to church. You were going to church, whether you wanted to or
period.
Not.
You went to church, period.
Church, yeah. And nowadays, it's not like that. We give our kids a choice. I didn't know what that was like growing up, having choices. I never had a choice. And so, being able to, impart some of that word into a younger person, male or female, is just, and have them actually grasp it and, hold on to it. That is something to marvel at, and something to strive for. So,
and it is the responsibility of people that are older to be able to let the
absolutely.
And now that we're older, because we're used to being younger, we really haven't seen, now you're older, it's your responsibility.
Absolutely. When you said that, Vanessa, you were talking, I remember you said, just thinking about when you were a child, how you were in awe of God, but now that that you really understand, I'll never forget, we would be in church. And don't let them sing "Precious Lord," honey. Them sisters, them mamas, them grandmamas. All you got to do is say "Precious," and you sitting there looking like, okay, well, that's an old slow song. I want to hear something more upbeat. You didn't really understand, but then when you get some age on you,
you singing that
experiences on you.
You singing that?
Wait, no. You got to say it like the old people say. When you go through some things, you get to sing. When you go through some things, because now it used to tickle me, but you could tell, especially because I'm a northerner coming south, and I would come in the summers. Remember, because you were sentiments, and then you go back home. Mm-hmm. And the old churches that would have somebody just break out in song, and the whole church join in, right? You talk about that, bring me to tears. Now I heard somebody put something on social media.
You singing that, and Jesus keep me near the cross has a totally different meaning for me as an adult.
Oh my gosh, I get all teary-eyed. I'm like, yes, Lord. Oh my goodness, So yeah, it's now our responsibility to let
absolutely.
It is.
Absolutely.
It is.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Miss Sonia, for that word, Miss Vanessa. Ma'am. It's too much stuff going on around the world for me not to say nothing's going on. What's going on?
Girl, it's a lot going on. I told you the question should be, what isn't going on? So, news: Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson, her confirmation hearings ended, and she's going to be confirmed. It's just, she will be confirmed. But did you all get a chance to listen to some of the questions that she had to sit through? Some of the things she had to sit through. Ted Cruz, for instance, and how he had all the children's books. I'm thinking, why would they just drive so? I'm speechless. All he spoke about mostly was like pornography and things along that line. And I'm trying to understand, is that what they're dealing with? Is that who they are? Is that why they're so dead set on bringing that to the forefront with her? When you look at her credentials, she's more qualified pretty much than anybody on the bench.
Well, they're mad about the fact of what happened with Kavanaugh. They're very upset about what happened with Kavanaugh because they felt like it was a circus. But at the same time, with the woman, I can't remember the woman because Kavanaugh was the man, and then there
Oh,
was, I forget her name, but they were upset and they mentioned that. They said this will not be the
They
circus
did
it
say
was
that.
then. But Ted Cruz and circus just go together.
it's
It's
just
just
yes, yes.
but I loved how one of the senators said, he said it, me as a senior member of this Supreme of the Senate, he said to the junior member over there, and he was referring to Ted Cruz. I said, thank you. Please put him back in his place. Please put him back in his place. But he just does stuff for photo shoots and just so somebody can capture it, and that's it.
So he could
He's an
stay
very
relevant. So
But
he could
yes,
stay
yeah.
relevant.
And to answer your question to me, the type of questions they asked was because they couldn't find anything else. When I
Nothing.
can't find
Nothing.
anything on you, I have to come up with something. And that's the best that they could do. And what a blessing that is.
And it was just crazy. And thank God for Cory Booker. His impassioned speech, that just
Yes.
touched my heart.
Yeah.
It just touched my heart, and it brought her to tears. As you know, he told her, "You got here how every Black woman in America who's gotten anywhere has done by being like Ginger Rogers. I did everything Fred Astaire did, but backwards in heels."
Mhm.
And it's true. You know, she had to jump through more hoops, and they asked her about affirmative action. Like she got there because of affirmative action. Women are a part of affirmative action too, right? Did they ask the other Supreme, the justice? I can't think of her name either. The other lady.
But at the same time, they commented on her facial expressions, which is what they
Mhm.
typically do.
Mhm.
And a conversation Vanessa and I had off camera was men can come up with this big, huge belly, lay it on the counter, and everything is fine. A woman, if her eyebrows go in,
Mhm.
it's an
No,
issue.
a black woman. You got to
Right,
be
right.
more
No, she
specific.
got it double because they did it to Hillary Clinton, the same thing.
Yes.
And then with her being Black, again, because matter of fact, they did it to Michelle Obama when she did the fist bump with her and her husband. All of a sudden on Time magazine, she was a military woman with a
Right,
gun taped to her,
right,
and she was doing it. So
right.
again, you get it because you're a woman, but then you get it double because you're a woman of color.
Yeah.
They
Exactly.
want to call her a MBW now because of her facial expressions. I'm like, miss me with that, please.
After dealing with Ted Cruz, oh my goodness, you have no choice.
Call it what you want to, just confirm me.
Just call
Right.
her
Well,
Chief
good
Justice.
news. I will say, I know Vanessa didn't say this, but I at least want to say it. The one that Vanessa calls out of West Virginia did confirm this morning that he will vote for her. So he is the 50th Democrat Senator Manchin. Yes, I want to put that out there.
Yeah,
He
she's getting
said
confirmed.
yesterday he will confirm her. So we were kind of, because he's suspect. We don't know.
No,
We
he
don't know
was
what
going
he
to
gonna do.
confirm her.
Yes.
She's getting confirmed. I'm speaking.
Absolutely.
She's getting confirmed. I'll put it out.
Absolutely.
She's going to get confirmed. She just had to go through the formalities, and it's going to happen. And what's her
Absolutely.
name's going to ride his coattails like she always does. Cinema. Like she
Well,
always
she rides
does.
his coattails. Whatever he does,
Yeah.
she does. But she's, without getting off subject, she's got a lot of problems coming up because they're literally trying to get her out from Arizona. Arizona Democratic Party is very upset with her. So
Yeah, I don't
we'll
blame
see
them.
what happens.
I don't blame
Yeah.
them. On to this next story. Chief Justice Clarence Thomas, his wife, Virginia Thomas, it's been reported that she urged the White House chief to pursue Donald Trump's White House chief of staff to pursue unrelenting efforts to overturn the 2020 elections, according to text messages that they uncovered during their reporting. Mark Meadows, former chief of staff, it says in messages to Chief of Staff Mark Meadows, in the weeks after Election Day, the wife of Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas called Biden's victory the greatest heist of our history and told him that Donald Trump should not concede. So is there a law against, shouldn't there be, or is there a law where he should have to recuse himself going forward if anything
So
should come before the Supreme Court in relations to the insurrection, January 6th insurrection.
technically, according to Sunny Hostin, who was on The View and is an attorney, used to be a federal attorney, she said actually there is nothing at that level that are checks and balances. And
Really?
said that's been part of the problem, especially
Wow.
now that the courts and even the Supreme Court, which used to be neutral, is no longer neutral, and it's causing a problem. So she said at that level, they don't really have the checks and balances that they would in lower courts, which is why people can just kind of do what they want to do. But it's lately because that the courts are now becoming politicized and it coming out, what side they want to be on. But typically, the Supreme Court was supposed to be neutral, and they never really had to worry about that at that level, but they do now.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Some things has to change because it's a new day. We're living in a new world now, and they're going to have to visit. They're going to have to revisit a lot of this stuff. The president.
Actually, I want to add that he didn't recuse himself and voted, and was the only judge out of all the Supreme Court justices that voted against giving Donald Trump's papers to the January 6th committee. That's what made it so ironic. He was the one that said no. Everybody else said yes.
And we know why. That's his wife speaking. That's not him. That's his wife making the decisions. Anywho, it's got to change. It's going to change, I believe. I think we're headed in that direction. At least I'm hopeful that we are.
Absolutely.
So R. Kelly, R. Kelly is in prison, probably will never get out. He was recorded by this TikToker who posted her conversation, posted herself speaking to R. Kelly over the phone. And the caption read, when your dad goes to the same prison as R. Kelly. Yeah. So he was on the phone speaking to her, and he later started talking to her. It says, despite being behind bars for a number of convictions, including racketeering and sex trafficking, singer R. Kelly recently spoke to an excited fan over the phone. It's just, they're just wondering, how is that possible? And why is he still able to reach out and touch people?
Well, it's no different than prisoners having access to the internet.
Yeah.
So it's really sad to say, in this instance, that the father is serving in the same prison, and he doesn't have a problem with the fact that you have a convicted man who you are now exposing to your daughter. And like you said, it listed it as, this is what happens when your father's in the same prison. I have a question that why are we not discussing the fact that my father's in this prison with R. Kelly? That's what needs to be the discussion, but it's not. Why are you telling the world your daddy's in prison? I that's where I want to start. I want to start there, but it's just sad to say, but they have access to the internet, and they've done even further damage with a lot of these online dating apps.
Yeah.
And you don't know who you talking to. And now, and some women are caught sending money to them, all sorts of stuff. It's just the danger of the fact that they have access to the web.
Well, while she was on the phone, she asked him if he could sing a song for her, and he asked her which one. And before, and then it said the fan started singing herself the song "Love Letter," which I don't know which one that is actually, but she started singing that, and then he soon started singing it as well. So I'm like, okay, I don't know. I guess that's one way to. I guess that's one way to meet him if you really need to meet him and want to meet him. It's probably the safest way to meet him too. So it's probably the safest.
What do you think? What do you think about this?
Well, I tell you, when you asked the question, or one of y'all asked the question about how would he have access to this girl, the father probably gave him the access. They may have been standing right there together. You just never know. Daddy,
True.
I want to talk to R. Kelly.
True.
Baby, you probably shouldn't be talking to this man. But Daddy, I really want to talk to R. Kelly. You know, he's my fan. And then the next thing you know, because he in jail, he can't give his daughter nothing else and other than his love. So he goes and get R. Kelly and let him talk on the phone. My thing is that, you know, people got to stop acting like they don't know what these prisoners are doing. They doing everything in prison that we doing on the street.
That's true.
And they getting it from the people who work in the prisons. It's not just people bringing things into them into them anymore. There are many ways that you can get stuff, and I'm not talking about the guards. There are many people who work in prisons, and you'd be surprised at the influence that some of these prisoners have on people. Oh my goodness!
Yeah,
I just can't wrap my brain around it.
That's just really sad. That's why I brought up the online dating, because there are a lot of women that they are taking advantage of, and the person thinks that they're, you know, somewhere else or whatever. I just saw an article this week that talked about that. So again, it's the access, and we were talking earlier about a difference of time. You didn't tell people back in the day that your dad was in prison. You just said he went away. Yeah. Now it's a badge of honor.
Lord, move on.
I don't know.
Yeah. It is what it is. It is
Makes
what
my
it is.
head hurt.
Yeah. It does. It's just really sad. So,
but you know what bothers me? What makes a woman want to send a stranger money?
It could be anything. She have low self-esteem, and someone's paying him or her some attention. And okay, yeah, he's locked up, but he's paying me some attention. He's giving me the attention I normally wouldn't get. And then he asks me for money. Oh, okay. If I'm already down, and then someone, you know, at least reaches out to show some interest, yeah, I'll send it to him. I mean, you know, I'm trying to think that's
right.
You know,
so a lot of times they don't tell you the truth. You don't know they're in jail. I will share. A lot of
times you do, though.
Right. No, I get you, but I will share. Vanessa caught me one time talking to someone online, and I just didn't do online. Vanessa said flat out, that joker is in jail. And I was like, no, he not. She was like, yes, he was. And the story that he concocted about what was going on. So imagine, like she said, when you're in a low state, things are going on, all sorts of things. And I was just shocked to see. Right. But imagine somebody who is not with somebody, and again, where it can take you. So, you know, it is what it is.
It is.
Yeah.
So I'm excited.
Absolutely. It's just, you know, it's just we just acknowledge kind of what's going on. But on to another subject. Our subject today is that you have the ability to age sexy.
Yes.
I like it.
Yes.
I like it. I like it. And we talked to this amazing woman, Ernestine Shepherd. It's a pre-recorded interview that we did with her, but we wanted to be able to have it on the show. She's an amazing woman. She will tell you her story as to how she got started in bodybuilding. She is 85 years young, a beautiful woman who just, to me, screamed goals. I was like, I want to be just like her. I want to be just like her when I get older. I want to be just like her. But the fact that she was able to maintain herself even at this age, unfortunately, a lot of times we're taught the wrong thing, that you can't. You know, you gotten older and this is just what's going to happen to you. She proves that that is a lie. So we want to be able to share the video of our interview. We're going to give you all the full video because we want you to be able to see the entirety of our amazing time with Miss Ernestine Shepherd.
So, ladies, our guest today is Miss Ernestine Shepherd. Now, who is she, you ask? Miss Shepherd, at age 79, is a personal trainer, a professional model, a competitive bodybuilder, and happier and more fulfilled than she's ever been in her life. In March of 2010, on stage in Rome, Italy, she was formally given the title of the world's oldest performing female bodybuilder by Guinness World Records. Yay! In her youth, she was said to have been a prissy girl with little interest in athletics or exercise of any kind. As a 56-year-old, she was a sedentary, well-padded school secretary and slug who had never worked out a day in her life. The obvious question is, What happened to transform Miss Ernestine into a role model for the rest of us, and a senior woman in particular? So here we are today, and she's here with us today to answer just that question. So, ladies, please join me in welcoming Miss Ernestine Shepherd.
Yay!
Welcome,
Hi.
everyone.
So, Ms. Shepherd, thank you so much for joining us here today. We are so honored that you are gracing us with your presence. Thank you so much.
Oh, I'm so happy to be with all of you. Thank you. But may I just say one thing? I
Absolutely.
am 85 years of age.
Yes, ma'am. Please correct that. Yes, ma'am. You are 85 years of age, but you still look 79 and younger. You look much younger. Trust.
Thank you.
So forgive me, but you can't help how young you look. So
You look amazing. So absolutely, absolutely. So Miss Shepherd, if you can tell us your journey about your wellness journey, how you came to be where you are today.
I love telling this story. My husband, gosh, he was a trustee of the church. And they always had different little fun activities going on. So he told my sister Velvet and me that we could go with them. We were going to go swimming and have a good time and eat outside. So he said, but you have to get bathing suits. My sister Velvet looked at me and I looked at her because she and I hadn't been in a bathing suit in years. So we went to purchase these bathing suits. We got in the store. She put hers on. I put mine on. But I heard all of this laughing. And I turned around and I looked at her. And I said, well, you aren't looking so good yourself, so don't be laughing at me. She said, well, we had better take these bathing suits off because we do not want to embarrass Shep being at that picnic with these suits on. So we took the suits off. We went to the picnic and we sat around the pool and we watched everybody swimming. And we said, oh, gee, wouldn't it be wonderful if we could get in that water? While sitting there, a couple of ladies came over to us and they said, you know, we go to a college and exercise. Velvet said, where? She said, to Coppin. She said, you two want to come? So I said, I guess so. So within a matter of weeks, Velvet and I went to Coppin College and we started off by taking aerobics. Boy, that was difficult because I was lazy, didn't want to do anything. And Velvet was working out. And you can imagine just doing aerobics in a matter of a few months, she was looking good. And I was still looking the same because I was just sitting on the floor because I was afraid to do anything because I had broken my ankle years ago and I was told not to ever do any type of exercising. But next thing I knew, Velvet was on TV. She was doing speeches, and there I sat doing nothing. No one said anything to me. So I got angry, left the gym, and said I was never, ever coming back. So Velvet came to the house after the class, and she said, if you want the fun and enjoyment that I'm having, you had better get started. So I wanted that fun. So I started working out too. And then, gosh, I noticed a change in my body. Then the instructor had Velvet and me go out and make speeches and whatever. So that was wonderful. But as time went on, Velvet said to me, if anything were to happen to me, would you continue what we started? I said, vice versa. I said, if anything happened to me, would you continue? She says, I'm not fooling, would you? So to keep her quiet, I said, okay. So I got a call from her. I was at work, and she said, every day I have awakened with a terrible, terrible headache. I don't know why my head hurts like this. So I said to her, maybe you have your braid too tight, because she wore her hair like I wear mine, and we put this little scrunchie back there, and you'd have to make it tight to make the braid stay. So she says, well, I'll try to loosen it and see what'll happen. It still happened. Then she called me and said, this happened in different intervals. She said that she couldn't see out of one eye. So I said, what do you think that is? She says, I don't know. The next thing, it felt like water was running in her ears. And I said, that's due to the fact that we've been getting in the pool and swimming, and maybe that's because water has gotten into your ears. She says, well, maybe so. The last thing she said to me was that she had gotten up and she didn't know who she was at that moment. Water was running in her ears. She couldn't see out of one eye. Her head was aching. I said, I've had enough of this. I'm coming home from work, and what I'm going to do is to take you to the hospital. However, I contacted my parents and my baby sister, and they got there ahead of me. They took her to a hospital called Providence Hospital. Well, I drove to Providence Hospital, and she was still sitting in the waiting room. I said, all of this time, we're leaving, we're going someplace else. So we left the hospital. Velvet got in the back seat with me and laid her head on my lap. And my father, my mother, and my baby sister were in the front seat. We drove to St. Agnes Hospital. When we walked in, they asked what was going on, and we told them. They immediately took her in the room. They examined her. They came out and said, what is wrong with your sister is that she has had a brain aneurysm, and it had already burst. The water that was running in her ears, that was blood. With her head aching, that was the aneurysm. All of the things that I mentioned to you concerned having this aneurysm. Well, by the aneurysm already with the blood running, it was very little that they could do for her. And Velvet said, I don't want anything. Just let me go. And I sat there and I cried and I said, no, no, no. She said, yes. And the doctor said, for all of the things that happened, if we had gotten her there sooner, maybe they could have done something to really help her. Well, she died right then and there.
Wow.
And I cried and I said, now I don't have anyone. What am I going to do? I ran around the hospital. My baby sister caught up with me, and she always called me Teeny. She said, Teeny, don't cry. You have me. I'll always be with you. I said, I know that, baby. I love you very much, but that's not what I want right now. I want Velvet. Well, Velvet had told us if anything had happened to her, she wanted to be cremated. So she was cremated. So at the service, well, we all sat there, and the pastor spoke beautifully. And I always liked to sing. And at her funeral, I sang the Lord's Prayer by Gates. And after I sang the Lord's Prayer by Gates, and everything was over, and we had the food and all, I came home. And I was never, never, ever the same. I hated God because I couldn't understand how he could take a good person away and leave me and leave others. And I said, how could he do this? Here I am, such a bad person, because I really was a bad person. I enjoyed saying bad words. I enjoyed, oh gosh, doing everything and anything. I enjoyed going to church, and I would sit there. I never paid any attention to what the minister was saying. I always would place my arm on the back of the pew. And when I placed my arm back there, I would look at my fingernails and my rings. I was so proud of them. I never heard anything that the pastor would say. So it didn't matter to me whether I went back to church or not. Then I started suffering with anxiety and depression. I was back and forth to the hospital. They knew me because I was there so much. They said, "What's bothering you now, Ernestine?" So I started taking pills for my anxiety. Well, to make a long story short, one night I had gone to bed. I was sound asleep, and I was awakened by Velvet. And she said, "You are not doing what I asked you to do.
Mm.
Get up and do what I asked you to do." I sat up in the bed and I looked around. I didn't see anyone. I said, that can't be Velvet. And she repeated again the same thing. And then I laid back down. The next day, I didn't do anything. I still stayed where I was, taking my pills, being nervous, being upset. But I was walking past a church one day, and they were having a revival service. I said, I think I'll go into this revival service. And if these people get on my nerves, I can get up and walk out of here, because I can't stand all of that foolishness that they do. Because coming up, when I joined church, well, my sisters, I had two other sisters, we had to go up and join, and I followed them because if I didn't, my mother said we couldn't go to the movie, we couldn't do anything. So I said the best thing for me to do is get up there and join service. So I went on into the revival service, and the preacher started preaching, and it sounded very good. Then all of a sudden, the organist started playing this song, and I would sing this all of the time. Somehow or another, it touched me so. Next thing, I said to myself, that is a beautiful song. And I started singing along with them, but quietly. The words were, "Here I am, Lord. It is I, Lord. I have heard you calling through the night. I will go, Lord, where you lead me. I will hold your people in my heart. The next thing I knew, something that I had never, ever done in my life, I jumped up. I disrupted the service. And when I disrupted the service, I started crying. And I said, restore to me the joy of my salvation.
Mhm.
Restore to me the joy of each new day. Give me back the love that I once had for you. And never, ever let me slip away. I had never felt anything like that in my life.
Won't he do it? Won't he do it, Miss Shepherd? Won't he do it?
Yes, he will.
Yes, ma'am.
He will definitely do it. Oh,
So at that point, Miss Shepherd, I don't want to interrupt if there's some
no.
more to this. So at that point, when Velvet came to you in the night and you found yourself at a revival, you asked and God delivered. You asked, you prayed, and he came through like he always does.
Like he does.
And so is that when you said, I'm going to do exactly what my Velvet told me to do? Because Velvet, first of all, the name Velvet already spoke to her getting ready to get up in front of people. You said you got mad and walked out of the gym. Velvet, the name Velvet was going to send her in front of people speaking anyway.
Yes.
And then she added that little extra oomph with working out. Is that when you decided to keep your word?
I decided. But one thing that you said about her name, Velvet, that really wasn't her name. She changed it when she started exercising because she said, that's such a beautiful name. She says, now I want you to change your name. What are you going to change your name to?
Did you change your name?
Well, I said, I'm going to, since you called yourself Velvet, and that's a color, I'm going to change my name to a color also. She said, tell me. I said, I'm going to call myself Magenta. She said, no, you don't. She said, you are so silly. No, you don't. You will not be Magenta. You just be plain Ernie or Teeny. That's all you need to be. So I didn't get to be called Magenta. I used it a couple times, but she said no more.
It just didn't seem to stick, I guess.
No.
Just not quite like Velvet seemed to
No.
stick. Yeah, Magenta. So I know this is something I know many people may ask, and our listeners will definitely want to know. For someone, and how old were you all when Miss Velvet passed? How old were you then?
Let's see. She must have been about 61 because she didn't really last that long with exercising. And I was just a year behind her. She was born March the 16th, 1935. I was born June the 16th, 1936.
My goodness. My goodness. My
So what
goodness.
would you say to encourage, no matter what age, what would you say to encourage someone that, number one, doesn't like to go to the gym? So the first, it's a two-part, that doesn't care for going to the gym for whatever reason. Maybe they feel they don't have time or the money to do so. What would you say to encourage them to get started and to be able to work out at home? And what do you say to people that are very shocked and surprised by your age?
Well, the first thing, most people will come to me and say, I'm just too old to start working out. I cannot do it. I have arthritis. I have this. I have that. I said, first of all, age is nothing but a number,
Mhm.
and you can get fit. And then, plus, first of all, if you want to start working out and you think that you're too old to do it, the first thing I would suggest that you do is to go to your doctor and get examined and
Yes.
see what he says. And if he says that it's okay, then we can get started. And then, even when you can get started, if you have a bad shoulder or bad knee or whatever, you must let me know so that I will know not to have you working that body part to make it worse than what it is.
Right.
And then, plus, you have to definitely eat correctly. That's
Mhm.
very, very important. And drink plenty of water. And
That
if
was
you have arthritis, the longer you sit still, the worse it's going to
The
get.
worst kids, yeah.
absolutely. And
And
that was one of my questions to you. What does your diet consist of?
Oh yeah.
On a daily basis, what does it look like?
okay, I eat the same thing day in and day out. First of all, I awaken in the morning. I will have oatmeal. I will have walnuts. I've added blueberries into my breakfast because that has vitamin C in it.
Mhm.
Then I will drink a glass of liquid egg whites. That's my protein.
Oh,
Uh,
wow.
And then what else do I have? I have water. And the reason why that I drink the liquid egg whites is due to the fact that when I started working out, I saw Sylvester Stallone, and he would crack an egg and he would drink it.
oh my goodness.
I knew that that was good to do. But I checked with my doctor, and he said, no, you do not want to crack an egg and drink it. You need to drink liquid egg whites.
Okay.
So I drink liquid egg whites by Egg Whites International.
Mm.
And that I drink at least 4 times a day.
Ooh.
Oh,
Oh my
wow.
goodness.
Really? 4
Yes,
times a day, liquid egg whites.
liquid egg whites, yes.
I would assume that would take some getting used to or adjustment.
Well, actually, drinking the liquid egg whites, you don't have to drink them plain. You can make a smoothie out of
Okay.
them,
Oh,
and
okay.
you don't even taste it.
Okay.
You can mix anything with it, but it gives you the protein that you need. And
Amazing.
I do that 4 times a day. The last time that I drink them is when I go to bed at night because you need protein when you go to sleep.
I just
Mm.
have one more question. What time does your day begin?
My day starts immediately between 3 and 3:30 in the morning.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
You're my goal. Your goals all over the place.
She got goals for everybody. We all got goals. We listening to her having goals.
3:30 in the
I have
morning.
to have my devotions. That's
Okay.
very important.
Mhm.
Then I do my stretching before I leave. That's very important.
Mhm.
Then I get dressed. Then after I get dressed, I always have my clothes out at night because I can't be looking for clothes in the morning. And I have my clothes out at night so that all I have to do is put them on and then I'm ready to go. My gym bag stays in my trunk, and all of that set. And then I drink, when I go to the gym, I drink something called glutamine select. That gives you energy to really work out. So I drink that, half of it before I get to the gym, and the other half while I'm working out at the gym. And it helps me tremendously.
So, Miss Shepherd, a couple of questions. I know we don't have a lot of time with you because I appreciate every minute
I'm
you're giving us.
enjoying this.
A couple of questions. Where is the gym where you do your classes? If you're okay to tell them, because I know you don't want people flooding your gym.
Oh, I would love that.
Okay, so tell us where your gym is and exactly what class do you teach?
Okay, I teach sweat and sculpt. That entails all of your muscles: biceps, triceps, back, quads, calves, everything, and your core muscles, all of that. That's involved. And the gym is called You Fit. I teach at two of their gyms. One is in Randallstown on Ricestown Road. The other one is in Liberty, what is it?
Liberty Heights,
No,
Liberty Road,
Liberty, no, Lock Raven,
Lock
Lock Raven Boulevard. That's a beautiful gym too. So I'm at both gyms, and the ladies there are so wonderful. I love them, and don't you know they love me?
Absolutely.
I know they do.
That would be
I know they do. Well, Miss Shepherd, as we close, well, first of all, again, we thank you for being with us today. What encouragement would you give to seniors? That'll be your last question. What encouragement would you give to seniors to help them to finally get up and start working out?
What I tell them, as I just mentioned, if you read in any book, it'll tell you it's very, very important to get up and move, because you can get a heart attack, all those things, kidney trouble, everything, if you don't exercise. And then with me, with this anxiety, don't you know, with me exercising, it helps me tremendously. And I must do it. It's a thing that I must do. And then I have a creed that I read to the ladies every day. May I read this creed to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Absolutely.
Violet gave me this creed when we started working out. It's not written by her. It's written by Christian D. Lawson. I keep this in my house all the time, and I take it to the gym to the ladies. And it goes, I promise myself to be so strong that nothing can disturb my peace of mind, to talk health, happiness, and prosperity to every person I meet, to make all my friends feel that there is something worthwhile in them, to look at the sunny side of everything and make my optimism come true, to think only of the best, to work only for the best, and to expect only the best, to be just as enthusiastic about the success of others as I am about my own, to forget the mistakes of the past and press on to the greater achievements of the future, to give so much time to improving myself. I have no time whatsoever to criticize others, to be too large for worry, too strong and too noble for anger, and too strong for fear, and too healthy, almost finished, too healthy to permit the presence of trouble, to think well of myself, and to proclaim this fact to the world, not in loud words, but in great deeds, to live in the faith that the whole world is on my side as long as I am true to the best that is in me. That's
So since we're coming to a close, y'all, we just couldn't give you everything, but as you can see, she's a wonderful woman.
Yes. Yes.
Love sharing her story. And I was sharing with the ladies earlier. You look at her and you can't tell she's 85, but as soon as she begins to tell them stories, you start seeing that 85-year-old woman come out. Sonia, what did you think about Miss Shepherd?
I thought she was amazing, very inspirational.
Yes.
Thank you guys for bringing her to the show. I think this is an awesome way to close out our celebration of women during Women's Month.
Absolutely.
And so just a total inspiration, and just made me think when I was walking. Let me tell y'all this real quick. When I was walking this morning, I started to get some discomfort in my knee. And when she said, and the doctor tried to tell you got arthritis, I was like, speak it. I mean, but like she's saying, we have to keep moving. So she's just an inspiration.
Love her. I love her. It was such an honor to be able to speak to her and listen to her motivation, because that's what that was. Her sister, the quotes she gave, just being there to teach others, being able to teach others is just such a blessing and a motivation to me. So it was just wonderful to speak to her. She's such a joy.
Absolutely. And like we said, during this interview, I could just screaming goals, goals, goals. This is what you do. Mm-hmm. But what I love about her, and I'll say this as we wrap up, is there are so many false statements that are said in our community that when we were younger, like we said, you really didn't have much to say. You was going to church, period. Right. End of story. Mm-hmm. And you didn't challenge a lot of things, but seeing her made me challenge. You would see seniors get older and it just happens. You just get old and you see somebody, and that's not true. Mm-hmm. So you can actually take a hold of your life, and it's not just whatever happens to me. So that's what I got from her.
She's proof.
She's amazing.
Myth is just that, a myth. Yeah. It's a lie. She's proof.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And to still be doing, and y'all see how snazzy she was.
Yes.
With no old clothes and no match. She was asking me about my nails before we started the interview. I was like, okay, and she showed me her nails were done from the nail shop. I was like, okay,
she's beautiful. Just a beautiful lady, inside and out. Just beautiful.
Absolutely.
Life doesn't end because we age. We continue to live.
Exactly.
Absolutely. And to not take anything from the bishop, but there is nothing in that Bible that talks anything about retirement. Not one place. Absolutely. Do you see anything in that Bible that talks about retirement? You are to live out your life to the fullest, and to see her do that is an amazing thing.
Absolutely.
Amazing.
Absolutely.
Well, we enjoyed her. We enjoyed you all. And y'all know how we do it, the Say What podcast. We're going to have another conversation that's going to be even juicier. So you got to be here with us in 2 weeks on Saturday at 2 p.m. And I promise y'all, we will be here. Say bye to the people, ladies.
Have a blessed weekend and a wonderful week.
Have a wonderful week.
Amen. We'll see y'all next time. Bye-bye.
Get ready for Sonia, Teresa, Vanessa, Bettina. Come on. Say what? Come on. Say what? We got hot topics. We got what the fudge. So bring it home. Say what? Bring it home. Say what? You got questions. We got the answers. You want to chit? You want to chat? You want to talk about this and talk about that? You're in the right place to hear the facts. Bring it home. Say what? Bring it home. Say what? The conversation. So join us on 3-1 across the nation. Bring it on, y'all. Say what?